Hi, family and friends, and welcome back to the Purple Couch Podcast. Today in our episode, we're going to talk about defiance. So what is defiance to you? There's good defiance, there's bad defiance, there's brattiness, but then when it really comes down to it, it's all about your personal preferences. Perception versus reality. We need to make sure that our kids are on the same page as we are. So if you need some tips and tricks, not just for your kids, maybe for your spouse, maybe for your loved one, we're going to talk this entire episode all about defiance and how to get cohesion so that we're all working on the same page. So if you need these tips and tricks, come on down. Sit back with us on the Purple Couch Podcast.
Welcome to the Purple Couch Podcast, hosted by Pamela Furr, co-hosted by Dr. Manny Rodriguez and Melissa Owen. Together, we dive deep into discussions around education, neurodiversity, autism, and applied behavior analysis. Click and subscribe today so you don't miss out on any future episodes.
Hi, and welcome back to the Purple Couch Podcast. Today, we're going to talk about defiance. So, what is defiance? Manny, Missy, what does that look like? What does it look like from a kid's standpoint? What's it look like from an adult standpoint?
I will do the opposite and laugh at while looking at
I don't
you.
think so. Put the hand up. This is defiance. No, I don't think so. Or husbands and wives. We deal with that all the time. Who's going to wash the dishes? Who's going to take the laundry? Who's going to take the trash to the curb? How about your other children? Not just toddlers. How about your older children? Oh, I've got one for you. You ready to laugh? So, in all blessing, we're going to start with a Loki story.
Okay. Thank you, Loki.
Yeah, thanks, Loki.
I'm excited for this.
So, we're in finals week. This happened about a month ago.
Mhm.
All blessings be is that he finished on March 8th with his associates through Liberty University in psychology. So we're now getting ready to start the career part before he looks at what he wants to do come, August. Well, leading up to that, parents, I'm tuning in on this story because you want to talk about defiance. We want to talk about parents losing their shit. I did. Straight out, I'm not going to lie to you. I lost it. All of the 10 years of training, the ABA, the OBM, yep, threw it all out the window. So I had to travel to Dubai. Dr. Manny got to go, and we got to experience this wonderful trip and this cultural difference and education cross seas. It was great. And my son got to stay at home. Well, he's 18 years old. He's in college. This was a great time for him. Well, while I was away with his college work, this is manipulation, Defiance 101.
Oh, Loki.
Oh, he's so smart that he decided that he was looking at the points of all of the rest of his exams and, readings and Q&As and discussion threads that he needed to do for his coursework. Now, again, we're talking it's the last 2 weeks of school. Anything that was less than 20 points, if it was 5 points, a discussion thread he was supposed to do, he already had averaged out his grade, that if he got a 0 on them, what he would get, and he chose not to do them.
Oh, yeah.
I came home, and of course, I'm looking over, his work, because that's still executive functioning skills that we're honing in on, and I'm seeing all these zeros. And so I call him downstairs, and I'm like, hey, bud, what is this? What's going on? Well, Mom, just don't get upset. Oh, here it comes. Don't get upset. Husbands, wives, significant others. Well, I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to get upset. We've all, I think, heard that at some point in time in our life. And what do we say? It's not telling me that's going to set me off even more. So I proceeded to ask him, hey, what's going on with this? Oh, now you two know me. I lost it. Oh my gosh. I even went in my bathroom and cried because I lost it so bad. Because he proceeded to tell me the logic behind it. Now, we have a very open relationship. So logically, I could respect the theory on why he didn't want to spend all of this time. These would have been 60-minute assignments for 5 points. Well, if you're going to get a B and you can still cut the 5 points, okay. Explain that logic to me. Great. That's not what triggered me. The trigger was that he completely lied about it.
Mm.
Mom, all the work's done. I'm finished, Mom. I got everything done. I'm going to go get on Discord. Hey, Mom, I already finished all my work. All the chores are done. Schoolwork's done. I'm going to go out. Hey, Mom, I'm going to go over to the MegaCon in Orlando with my friends. All my schoolwork's done. All these things, while he's cutting and shaving points. And so I looked at him and I was like, we have such an open relationship. Why would you lie about this? Why? And he couldn't give me an answer. Now, I went to the bathroom. I had my boohoo session as a mom because I'm like, oh my gosh, he's not a little boy anymore. And what have I done wrong to tell him that he has to fib to me and blah, 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 blah. So see, parents, even with the help and some of the best in the country, I'm a mom. We're all fallible. Yeah, Yeah. So I come out and he's sitting at the table and he tells me that he's thought about this and Mom, he's really upset and he's sorry that he chose to lie to me. And so I'm like, okay, I understand. I'm still too raw. We need a little space because I'm hurt. You're hurt. Let's just move on. Get your work done. Notice, get your work done.
Did he do it?
So I go, this is the funny part. I go to sleep. He goes upstairs. We've already had our situation. I'm like, okay, he's a good boy. This happens. He's still a teenager. I woke up middle of the night. It was like 2:00 in the morning. And the kitchen light is on. And I come out and it's my son sitting at the table. And I was like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm finishing all those read and interacts I didn't do. And I'm like, why? And he was like, well, Mom, I disappointed you. And I don't want to disappoint you. And that's just not who I am. Oh my gosh, you want to talk about tears? I looked at him, stiff-lipped, and I was like, okay, good. I'm proud of you. I'm going to bed. Right. Then I go into my room and I'm like, oh my gosh, was I too hard on him? Oh my goodness, did I instill some new program? Or did he actually think about this, process it, and make the best decision he could as an adult and not as that little boy, not as that teenager? And that's why I wanted to tell you all this story. Because when we're talking about defiance, sometimes defiance happens when we're in the heat of the moment. The biggest triggers that we realize in defiance is when those buttons have been pushed. When as parents, when as, a significant other, when as a partner in a relationship. Defiance comes when it's the heat of the moment. When you already have the wall up, when you're already ready. You're like, oh, no, I'm not going to do this. It's not happening. I'm standing my ground. There's a difference between defiance and boundaries. Defiance is I am choosing. I am acknowledging and choosing to do exactly the opposite of what you're asking me to do. What I want you to do is to remember that in these situations, to take a moment for yourself to breathe through it. Understand that this is a raw time. This is a raw moment. And then how can we best come to a solution for both parties? And that's really hard to do sometimes when, just like here in Mom moment, oh, hellfire and brimstone because you lied. How dare you? These are 2 rules. You all know. What are Pam's rules? You don't lie and you don't steal. I can handle anything else. Just don't do those 2 things. So as we discuss this, I want our parents to realize everyone screws up. Everyone makes mistakes. And when is it the time to allow the child to be defiant?
It's a good point.
This is one of those topics, by the way, that I think we've heard it from listeners from past episodes. But this is one of those topics that listeners are going to get value out of this. So if you're getting value out of this so far, wait till we keep going. Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends. I was putting that plug in there, but this is one of those topics I think.
Oh, absolutely.
So thinking about defiance, one of the things you hit on that I was keen in on is, why did he lie? Which to me, lying and defiance most of the time go hand in hand. You're being defiant, and then when you get called out on your defiance, you're lying, or you're lying, and then therefore you're being defiant. It's kind of go hand in hand. But I think about being a parent. So, and I'm going to call out my Hopi. Hope is definitely got the defiance mode. So does Aiden. But and even the 2-year-olds, defiance in a 2-year-old is a blessing and a curse because they're going to be defiant in your face. Like,
Oh, yes.
no, I don't want to. No.
And laugh while they do the
And
opposite.
laugh or cry or
Or
tantrum.
the pouty lip,
Uh-huh.
melt your heart.
Yeah, so
It
yeah, we
doesn't
can go
anymore.
into individual stories for sure. But one of the things you said was, why did he lie?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think that's probably the hardest part for every parent is when you're in that moment and you're hit with the defiance, your reaction is not to analyze it.
Correct.
Your
Mhm.
reaction is to react to it.
Yes.
And all it does is just trigger an amount of emotion.
Oh, my
It goes
goodness.
out of control.
Well, yeah, because I blew up.
Yeah,
I
did,
absolutely
yeah.
blew up. I took it personal that he had, our relationship and how could I and how did I fail you? I mean, all these things in the moment.
Yeah.
In the moment. But if I would have said, really, I'm so sorry you chose that. I need to step away and
Mhm.
walked away to my space
Right.
and took time to collect on me. Oh my gosh, I would have saved us an hour and a half of the argument and the hour and a half of my blood pressure going up.
Yeah.
And it's just that moment. But we all live in that. We
Absolutely.
all live in it. And I think
Mhm.
it's acknowledging it. I want to go to our training with Dr. Joe Dispenza. What did they say? 90 seconds to 2 minutes.
Yeah. Should be out of your system.
90 seconds to 2 minutes. You are supposed to go through it, process it, and then let it go.
Mhm.
Let it go. Yeah. It's super hard for most parents.
Yeah. But honestly, and I'm looking at myself because I had to apologize to Loki, take credit on my own self that, hey, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I overreacted because if we could have had this conversation now, like we are now, and he's like, I know, Mom, and I shouldn't have lied and I shouldn't have given you excuses, but we're talking like adults then.
Yeah.
We could have avoided all of this.
Mhm.
If I could have been the bigger person and said, okay, I'm sorry you made that decision. Just give me some time because I'm really upset right now.
Mhm.
But I don't think we do that as a society. As humans, we don't do that. It's the apology afterwards
Yeah.
because we're all in reaction.
Yeah.
All of it is reaction. And as an overthinker, hey, I've got cognitive distortion. I overthink everything. Everything to me is let's analyze, let's process, and then let's go to the worst case.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can prepare for the worst case, then I will be okay with anything else that comes that way.
Yeah.
But it's taking the time to remove the emotion and allow that analytical brain to take over before the emotion.
Yeah.
It can't be disconnected because it's related to training that I remember getting years ago, that when you're dealing with a defiant child. So this was early 2000s and it was ages 6 to 16. So keep that in mind, right? So 6 to 16, not a 2-year-old. So 6 to 16, and they used to train us on, it was all positive parenting stuff.
Okay.
And they used to say, if you have a defiant kid, the first thing you do is not overreact, number one. And the second thing is you expect the defiance. So come into a situation expecting them to be defiant so that you're ready for that situation so that
Gotcha.
you don't overreact. And I think even as a dad, I think I struggle with that sometimes, is not thinking I'm going to get defiance. Because most parents, most bosses, most managers, what are we thinking?
They're
just
saying to
gonna
do it, it's going to happen.
Yep. Hey, I want you.
Oh,
pick up
come
that
on.
trash.
Nah.
Go do that.
No, Manny. No, Manny. Hold on. After 10 years of running schools and clinics, nah.
My mind is slowly, my mind has shifted.
That's assumption. Don't you know that whole thing of what happens when you assume you make an ass of you and me?
It's happening.
Yeah.
There you go.
So
Yeah.
that's what that training does, is it talks about like get ready for the defiance, be ready for
Yes.
it because it's going to happen. So what do you do about it? And so then you discuss it, you talk about it. My 9-year-old and I have great debates because it's like, hey, Aiden, you have to do your homework. I did it already. You did it, huh? You did your homework. Show me. Okay, I haven't done it yet. So, well, go do your homework. Okay, I'll do it right now. So he goes 20, 40 minutes later. How's your homework coming? Whoops. All right, give me the games, give me all this stuff. Now go do your homework. Okay. 40 minutes later. How's your homework coming? As he's reading a book, he found something else to do. He's avoiding,
Avoidance, yes.
Yeah.
but he's also being defiant because I'm asking him to do something. So unraveling that and expecting that defiance and trying to figure out how am I going to react to that versus overreact.
Ooh. So we're going to use Manny's case as an example. So do you have any suggestions on what Manny should do in that type of situation? Because we actively see avoidance.
Yeah.
The defiance, yes. Actively, and not just once.
Oh no.
But
It's
it's like, oh, okay. Well, let me pick up my video games, but I'm in my bedroom. And then, oh, let me pick up the book because now dad has the video games. Oh, I've done that. Ours is the power cord. I don't play the games anymore. I just say, just bring me the power cord.
Yeah. So say in that case, like you said, just take away the items that he's playing with, and probably if you know he's going, like you said, if you expect it, then instead of waiting that 20 to 40 minutes, like, hey, I'm giving you 2 minutes to get started and then go in and check, so that way you can kind of catch it sooner.
And I would remove him from the bedroom.
Yeah.
I would tell him, kitchen table.
Put
You
him
need to
on.
be at the kitchen table. Go get your homework. Bring it to the kitchen table. You have 35 seconds.
And not to make an excuse, because I like those strategies, because let's throw in this defiant person. Defiance is also attention seeking in some cases, right?
Oh yeah.
So using Aiden as a great example with your tips, because I'm sure other parents have faced this too.
Oh, yeah.
I have a household full of kids. So if I move my son who's having trouble doing his homework and I move him into another part of the room that the other kids are around, what is he doing? He's like looking at what they're doing. And the worst that he has is that his older siblings, my daughters, are amazing at school, get all their stuff done, have all this ample time to do whatever they want. And his biggest reward is playing with the little ones. So I say, Aiden, if you get your homework done, then you can go play with the little ones, or you can do what they're doing. But he struggles with his, stuff. What he's actually looking for more than anything, and my wife has nailed this on the head, is that if I sit with him and I do the homework with him, he'll get it done because he wants that attention.
And
so
did you miss the gap here? You understand you have a solution right in front of you. So you have two, you just answered it yourself, didn't you? So I saw the light bulb go on. This is why this podcast is here, guys. We're here because just like us having these conversations, this was not pre-planned. We don't have these. Okay, we come up with topics, and then after the topics, then it's literally free flow here with you. But we could see the light bulb. You have two older kids that are wonderful at their academics, that he's looking for that attention to be paired. So now we know what chore the older siblings are going to get. So now you're going to share that. Then there's bonding that happens between the siblings. And Aiden then gets the attention that he is seeking. And even more so, it allows him to get it from one of his sisters that he doesn't get to spend. Have Hope and him pair. What a great way for Hope and him to pair. And Hope is your defiant one anyway, that's going to question. So what a great way to, Hope, let me tell you, we have a chore for you. Yeah. Why? Not just that, associate it with a reinforcement for her.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And then that takes the stressor off of both you and your wife.
And her defiance is different than Aiden's. As you know, every kid's defiance is different. Every adult's defiance.
Oh, 100%.
It's funny we're talking about this because one of the things that's triggering in my mind is an OBM intervention we do with defiant employees.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
We pair them with a mentor who's not defiant.
Oh, so
how weird, right?
Reverse mainstream.
Yeah.
This is exactly what we're doing, and we do it in the school system as well. One of the best benefits, especially in our clinic setting, is when we can take neurotypical, and I really hate that word. I don't want to be normal. I don't think anyone is, and that's just a standard of robot. Let me make you a mold. But I walk over neurotypical developing with one of our children that have developmental delays, because normally it's the social emotional that they're struggling with. And when we compare someone their own age.
A nice little peer-to-peer.
Exactly. Just like what you're saying in OBM, if we can do that as a reinforcement in the workplace, as a mentor role, then we're doing the exact same thing, but we're building friendships as well.
Because the other thing that happens with defiance is defiance feeds on other defiance. So what happens with kids, also with adults, we can go to that. But when we see it, right? Someone who is defiant, even passive-aggressive defiance, goes and seeks out or gets reinforced by other people who are equally defiant.
Yes.
And so then you have this big, bad, toxic situation also.
He hit really key, because this is a big topic right now in relationship science, especially when we're talking about narcissism, gaslighting, these things that we're seeing, especially in social media, that are affecting our younger 20, some, and I say 20 some, because I was just talking to one of Some things we've got working in the air. Later on this fall, I'm going to be part of a cast that are talking to caregivers across the world. And when I was talking to Dr. Sarah, she's one of the other members on the panel, we were talking about our 20-year-olds, because think about COVID. In 2020, we had COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Those 20-year-olds now would have been 16.
Wow.
Oh, it's
Okay?
Yeah.
So at 16, though, what did we do? We put them into isolation. And what is normally happening in between that 16, 17,
get your
18?
target freedom finally.
Exactly.
Yeah. Socialization.
Socialization, understanding what the workplace looks like, understanding limitations, understanding social interactions as you're coming into adulthood.
Yeah.
That's been gone for them.
That's great.
So now our 20-year-olds that are coming into the workplace
Yeah.
are coming in with completely
Yeah.
different morals.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to really touch on that one too in the next couple episodes coming. We really want to discuss the difference between ethics
Mm-hmm.
and morals, especially for all of you caregivers across the world right now. Because when you're choosing your service provider, a good conversation to have with them is, where do you draw the line between your ethics and your morals?
Mm-hmm.
It is a very key conversation, especially as we're talking about employees in the workplace,
Yeah.
and especially in our field when we're talking about service providers and therapists that pair with your children and build these social emotional relationships. So we'll talk about that in a different episode. But going back to the trigger of these children coming into the workplace, and they're not really children now, they're young adults.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm aging myself really bad.
They're young adults.
But these young adults do not have the skills they need.
Mm-mm.
It is a true deficit. We're seeing it ourselves in our training programs that we're doing. We're seeing it in society. So guys, start with this at home. Start having these conversations at home. Start having some negotiations at home, because it can't just be a one-way. One-way conversations never work.
No.
Especially with our neurodivergent children, because they are here to ask questions. They're here to explore. They're here to develop new ideas. You know, the easiest thing we can do to trigger one of our kids that is defiant is to tell them it is this way or no way.
Yep.
Mhm.
And then watch and let's see who wins. That would be let's get some popcorn and let's YouTube this
Yeah.
one. Our kids have the longevity. They have the vocal longevity to scream you out. But can you ignore it?
Yeah.
Yep.
So one of the things I want to talk about before we end the podcast is planned ignoring.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is very key, especially as we talk about defiance. And
Mm-hmm.
as you can see, we talked about how to cope with the defiance today.
Mhm.
Today is understanding you're adult, you're a human, whether you're a child that you're putting your foot down and telling your mom and dad no. How do the adults react to that?
Mm-hmm.
It still comes into taking that moment to pause,
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
taking the moment to pause and stop holding grudges.
Mm-hmm.
Handle the procedure, handle the process, take time for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and then sit down with, whether it's your spouse, whether it's with your child, whether it's with a teacher, an employer, an administrator, any of these lines, you want to tune in and have real conversations where communication isn't elevated, when you're actually just being yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So what is planned ignoring, Missy? Tell them about this. Give them some tools.
Yes. So planned ignoring is actually the biggest piece of advice I would give to anyone when you're interacting with a defiant kiddo, coworker, anything like that. 'Cause as kind of you guys have been touching on, a main part of that is to see what is the reaction of the other person. You told me to do something. I'm telling you no. Now what do you do about it?
Yeah.
So oftentimes they are looking for that fight, that interaction to show like, hey, no. I'm winning this one. You're losing. And you will know that you lost and that I won.
The control.
Control and defiance hand in hand. So with planned ignoring, you don't engage. That's what I tell teachers all the time, is that as soon as you start to interact and argue with the kid, they won, you lost.
Yep.
Doesn't matter the consequences, doesn't matter what happens, because in that moment, they just won. And so we will just see that happen again. So with planned ignoring, I know if I tell Johnny over there to sit at his desk and do his work, and he tells me no and walks and goes play with toys, okay, I'm ignoring Johnny now. So I'll keep an eye to make sure he's safe and not obviously doing anything inappropriate or unsafe. But in that moment, instead of arguing and going over to Johnny, I'll tell you to sit down. We're not playing with toys. Give me those toys.
Exactly.
It's a battle. He just won. And not to mention the rest of the kids now get ignored.
Absolutely.
So instead, it tends to be other kids ignore Johnny, so keeping an eye to make sure. So often say with planned ignoring, you ignore the behavior, not the child.
Oh, love it.
Yep. So in that instance, ignoring the defiance and just keep on going on. And with that too, you want to use a lot of the like factual statements like, hey, but you choosing to play right now is you choosing not to get break later with everyone else.
Just reminders.
Yep. Yeah, definitely the
I love
choices
that,
as much
because
as possible.
parents can really take that into the kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so you're not going to listen to me tonight. And I'm saying this, and that's why I use myself as an example, is same way. You're not going to make your bed. You're not going to do your laundry. Parents, we get so upset about these things,
Mhm.
but is it really going to change our lives?
Yeah.
No. So what do we need to do? We need to give them an opportunity to fix it themselves.
Mhm.
Well, hey, I had this wonderful dinner prepared, everything. Your laundry's not done yet? Okay, well, you can eat with us when you take care of your chores.
Mhm.
Or, hey, we're going to go play this game together. Oh, I'm so sorry. This isn't an option for you. You chose to do this. And again, I think that's a very key point. Missy said, make sure that you're using those words appropriately. So even when you're doing planned ignoring, which is another word for extinction, we're literally shutting down. We're not going to give our energy over to you while you are being defiant.
Mhm.
We're not feeding into it. We're not giving you any more power. We are choosing to go upon our life while you take and make the wrong choice. Or maybe it's the right choice for them. But then that means that until they can stop what they're doing to focus on what the group is doing, then you have to make sure that you put those boundaries up. And that's where the boundaries come into place. And remember, boundaries are not for other people. Boundaries are for yourself. So if you put boundaries up that until that laundry is done, I'm not buying any more clothes. I'm not folding your clothes. I'm not doing anything. Nope, sorry. There's no, you have to go finish that. Well, guess what? Now I'm not all hot and worried. And if you've got to wear dirty clothes, well, you got to wear dirty clothes. That's your decision, your choice. But it's conserving your energy and not feeding into the dragon. So we hope that all of these tips and tricks are helping you and your family. If so, please remember to click like, subscribe, and share with all of your friends. And next time here on the Purple Couch, IEPs. Do you know what an individual education plan is? Does your child have one? Do you need a little help understanding all that legal jargon? Yes. Did you know that? IEPs are legal contracts. They're legal binding contracts between you and the school system. So next time on the Purple Couch, we're going to dig deep into what is an IEP and how can you protect your child's rights. See you next time on the Purple Couch podcast.